Hi everyone. I thought I'd do a video about my trip to China. I did actually do a first version and recorded it, and I had it kind of the screen hidden, and the camera, as you know, my camera that I use has 30 minutes and it turns itself off. So I'm redoing this, but I wanted to go through my trip, my experiences. A lot of people ask what my experience is going to be like. I'm not going to get political. I might make the odd little comment. If you want to, I'm doing a Q&A on this, so if you do want to ask me political questions, feel free. But in this video, I'll keep it up, hopefully, close to the subject. I'm not distracted. Right, as he says, distracting. So, as all things start, you get on a plane, I went with Shenzhen Airlines because they fly direct. The prices were fair. If I'd gone in June, though, it was £750 return from the UK. But unfortunately, we had to postpone because I was waiting we had to get a later revision of the board. It was important before I went to China. And so it went up to nearly 1,200 quid, but that's life. But yeah, so I'm very pleased with the flight. And the plane, modern plane, brilliantly comfortable. I was going to upgrade because everyone said, "Oh, don't do a 12-hour flight without upgrading." I was fine. So the entertainment system was great. Watched movies. I could watch my laptop, charge my phone. Food was okay. Well, it's airplane food. It was fine. Yeah, that was cool. I'm also moving along a little bit quicker because I noticed in the last video it went on for an hour, and you know what I'm like. Anyway, so first little thing that happened, got there, and you have to. They have a health declaration thing, and all it is you can't get in without this code, and so what you have to do is go online, fill out a form. It's an awful lot of information you're giving over. I mean, nothing I suppose outrageous, like my address, where I'm from, have I got any symptoms, who am I visiting. You have to put an address. I mean, I've done that with a visa anyway, so you have to have a sponsor to give you, because I've got a business visa to get you in the country. So, but the problem I had was my phone was okay for phone calls and texts, but for some reason the internet wasn't working. I had ordered an add-on for internet, but it wasn't working. It was okay a couple of days later. A little bit of advice: if you're going to China, sort your VPN first. I had a few issues with the internet, but I resolved them after a couple of days of being there. And then you probably know that there's the Chinese firewall, and you need a VPN to connect back home, basically. And it solves all the problems, and everything works great. Anyway, excuse me. So I couldn't do the form online. I couldn't sort myself, but there was a nice lady, she came over, and she basically did it on her phone, asked me all the details, put it all in, and then she said take a photo, hence the picture, and then I showed that, I scanned that as I went in, so that got me through the health check. And then there was a usual entry into the country form, which I've done before. And that was all good. So then I ended up in China, in Shenzhen airport, in Bao'an. Forgive me if you're Chinese and I pronounce that really bad. Little thing on the whole phone. A little thing on the translation. I'll come to Sarah in a minute, who was my translator. But I used my Pixel 7, which is around, and I bought it specifically 2 or 3 months ago because it's got a good translator app and it's got AI on board and this kind of stuff. And although I don't think it actually matters, it's got an AI chip. But that was brilliant. So even if you've got no internet, you can translate it and it will translate English, well, any language. And I downloaded the Chinese pack. Go for the traditional Mandarin. It seemed to work quite well. So downloaded that. I got a whole load of phrases in there stored under like a saved thing. And it helped no end. And once I had the internet sorted out, it would do two things. It would actually speak the language for me, which is pretty good, and they all understood it. But also, you could use the camera and you could point it up against like signs, and the signs would instantly translate. That was fantastic. Anyway, so that was great. Sarah from HLH, and a lot of this is around Sarah. You're probably going to hear her name mentioned a lot. That's mainly because she's my point of contact at the prototyping company, and they're the people who handle all my plastics work and have done for the two cases that I made, and now we're making with the monitor. They're doing all of the plastics on that and the big metal chassis that holds it all together. So it's been done all in China now. I'll come to that later on, mainly because we're going to be assembling in China. Partial for the first 2,000, so I can final build and then ship them out. But again, I'll come back to that in a shortly. So anyway, so she turned up at the airport with her car, picked me up very kindly, took me to the hotel, stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn. Great place, the Hilton, yeah. When I booked it, I checked if the price was correct because it was about 50 quid a night, which I can't even get a bed and breakfast in the UK for that money. So to be staying in the Hilton, which was it was a lovely hotel, and I had Chinese breakfast every morning, and which just seemed weird the first day, but I like Chinese food, so it was cool. But it was weird to come down in the morning. No, they do have an attempt at an English breakfast, but yeah, not so much. It was okay, it was edible, but it wasn't really an English breakfast. I've never yet been to another country that can do it. So, but the food was fantastic anyway. And the best thing, it was the coffee machine. They actually had a coffee machine, so I could have my my fix in the morning. But that was really good. So it's a lovely hotel. And then this is the view from my window. Now, apparently, Shenzhen is rural. It's the rural part. Sorry, where I was staying, Bowen, was a rural province. To be honest, it didn't look very rural to me, as you can see. I mean, this is the other way, looking out my window. It's just business, okay? That's what the place is all about. And it was good. On the subject of not being political, I will, because of course I come from the West, and I don't believe all the rubbish, right? I don't believe everything the media try to encourage us to think, but of course you are constantly bombarded by China this, China that, China this, China that, and it kind of does your head in. So one of the first things I expected to turn up when it'd be a bit of a police state. And so I got to Heathrow, and there's the police walking around with their great big machine guns, the body armour and everything, walking around like that. And then I get to China, and in one of the busiest airports, most important airport, probably because it's their tech capital. Well, for one thing, there wasn't many police around. Now, not obviously they could call them if there's an issue, but the police, there was no. It was so light-handed. The most dangerous thing they had was a walkie-talkie. Maybe they lit you with it. I don't know, but it was, and they were really nice, polite, friendly, and this is going to be a theme. I have to say, if you've got an anti-Chinese bias, then you might as well sod off now, because it's going to be quite positive. This my feelings about China. Right, so don't mention the fact that yes, there was a couple of things that they've done. I agree with you, but then look at your own history, whatever country you're in. Enough. Right, so one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to be. Oh, let's put the picture up. I wanted to give a gift, so, like a hello gift, because most of these companies have been very good to me. Now, this is the small version. It was actually a double tier one for the main people. So Sarah and James were the controllers. So they kind of had, it was a double height one with extra ones in it, but that's beside the point. So it was basically, when I looked online, it said, get something from your hometown, and they like tea. So this was English tea in tins that looked like famous English London landmarks. And they absolutely loved it. And they gave me a couple of, which I should have brought up actually, they gave me some a really nice gift for me as well. But they were so pleased to receive this. It was lovely. And it was nice and simple. Now, anyway, so when I first arrived, we went back to Sarah's office, and this is HLH prototypes. Now, the reason I used HLH was because I tried to get, when I did the first case, I tried to get an English company to do it, and long story short, they turned me over. But basically what happened was, it was very hard to find a company, first of all, but also they quoted a price for tooling, and then when the Kickstarter was a success, I went back and they tried to double the price. Which, of course, if you know anything about Kickstarter, it's not a good thing, because you budgeted for the price. So then I went back to the lady in China that I'd been speaking to as a kind of a backup, and they were half the price and a lot more helpful. So I can see, my experience with Chinese companies has been really good. Now, don't get me wrong, I know there's some out there not so good, but then I can name a few other countries' companies, but I won't. So I was very pleased, and I'm pretty loyal to HLH. And it also, because they're a prototyping company, they turn around products really quick. I know sometimes especially in the media community, there's been projects going on. They can take a while. Now, people complain, but the reality is, if you go into the big companies, you have to drop in a slot, and it can be delayed and all that kind of malarkey, and people get frustrated. But the reality is, this is a prototyping company, and the kind of numbers that I need, they can cope with no problem. So this company's been really good. And they have really nice offices as well. They got a big factory, 6 floors and stuff like that. But the actual offices are really nice, and not all like that. I'll come to that. Right, so then I'm off on a journey to go and see one of the companies. I'm kind of reversing the days, but you don't care about that. So I was on a trip to one of the companies, and in the taxi ride, which I'm going to mention the cars. So we've got this impression in the West that China, their cars aren't really good. It kind of reminds me, I'm old, and it reminds me of when Japan first started making motorbikes. They were, you want to buy that rubbish? And then they took over, and everyone loves them. And then the same thing with Korea. When they came to Southern Korea, they came over. You don't want to buy that. It's Korean. Yeah, right. And so now we've got the same thing with China. You don't want to buy those cars. They're from China. God. So I've been in a few of these cars. Now, I'm a motorbike fan. And I didn't put a picture up here, but there's the whole off-roading, because I'm a big trail rider and adventure bike rider, and a bit of a nutter, basically. So I'm still alive, so it's good. But there's a bike being designed in China and made in China called Cove 450 Rally. If you're a biker, search. This has got people absolutely in a lather, because it's a real rally bike. When I say rally, I mean like Dakar, and I don't mean like it looks like a Dakar bike. It basically has been in and survived Dakar, and so it's a first time. This is the one of the, I mean, there's lots of Chinese motorcycle brands, and usually they get, like KTM are tied up with some Chinese brands, and there's a lot of manufacturers are made, and a lot of the parts are obviously made in China. If you've got an iPhone and you don't like China to manufacture, you're an idiot. Sorry, it's true, because it's made in China. But this probably sounds like an advert for China. I might get a job from them. What do you think? So the Cove is fantastic, but so I thought, but there's the same thing with cars, right? You don't want to get them anyway. So I was sat in a lot of cars in taxis, and most of them tend to be BYDs. And the base version, or base version, the budget versions, they have BYD written on the back and the front, and they're mostly taxis, that kind of thing. And I've been in a few over there. And they're really nice, especially the new ones. You get new, I think, wow, this is really nice. But then I think a real testament is that I got in a really old one. I'll take me back to the airport. I don't know, but I'm guessing this car must have been 6, 7, 8 years old. And you could tell by the seats in the back, it's been kicked about. Customers have been kicking the seat. But overall, it was still surprisingly in good condition. And so they last. They got, they do kind of they do a higher, like a top tier brand, and instead of putting BYD on it for their luxury versions, it's got Beyond Your Dreams or Beyond Your Desires, one of the two, and it does sound a little bit really, but the car was brilliant. And I sat in one of them and I absolutely loved it. So if you're a car maker over here, you should be worried. Look at the MG brand, and that's absolutely you should be worried. And the other thing for me was I'm getting carried away, but the prototyping in China is so fast. If you're boots on the ground, you can turn stuff out really quick, and they'll ship things and they'll next day. I said, can you send off this thing for me to someone? We sent off about 6, 7 o'clock. Well, at 7 o'clock at night, I think it was. And it might be later than that actually, but around that time it arrived the next morning. Now, admittedly, it was only 2 hours away, but that was like really quick. So if you're prototyping, it's amazing. Anyway, so the picture of the scooters, there was loads of scooters everywhere. And I'm not surprised because they sell them for like £300. They were like they started at 2,300 RMB. But the really nice ones are like 3,000 RMB. And that equates is like divide by 10 roughly. Probably if it's American dollars, divide by 12. And I'm seriously considering buying one of these things. If you can see them along the line, the nice shiny ones, they're like £300. And they're electric. Every scooter out there I saw, I think I heard one go by, might have had an engine, but nearly every scooter, because you can't hear them because they just come up behind you, they're all electric for £300, right? So yeah, I love the place. Now it was a crazy place because they were riding along the road and they're riding the wrong direction on the lane. You're walking down the road and there's scooters coming either side of you. So if you have nervous disposition, you might be a bit, but you get used to it in about half hour, and it's hilarious. So it's a fantastic place. It was great fun. But I'm a city boy, so I'm a Londoner. So I think my poor wife, who grew up in the country, she doesn't like the city. She didn't like she's not really into the hustle and bustle. And then of course you got all these new scooters, and then you got this guy. There was a few of these. Got the scooter, put a thing on the back, and an instant truck. And they will have an umbrella over top because it's really hot. Anyway, I drive along, and then of course you got the flats, right? Everyone lives in apartments. These are obviously quite new ones. I'm taking pictures of. I might get a job for the Chinese tourist board, obviously, because I'm showing all the nice ones. But then you go past the normal ones, and these are like the people where they live. And, I went past. It was like anywhere else, But I was going to say everything's really nice and clean. Of course, I just noticed there was that rubbish on the floor. But no, basically it's all nice and clean, and it's just nice. And then you got more. These were better because they got sort of more of a Chinese style roof, which I quite liked. But anyway, so after that little journey, I got to meet these lovely people, and these people sell panels, and they're absolutely fantastic. And so they're going to be hopefully they're going to. Well, at the moment they're heads and shoulders above all the rest because. They know we want the best quality panels. They have a very good testing routine, and la 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 la. So that was really good. Now of course the other thing I didn't mention is so much food. The food. Oh God! Apart from the fact it was absolutely fantastic. If you like Chinese food, Go to China. You're obviously going to get the real deal. The only thing I will say, for being a European, the only difference, because it was what people ask, what's the difference between the food out there and the food here. I'm not going to say the food tastes better. I mean, the Chinese food here can be really. If you find a really good Chinese restaurant, the food is comparable. But the one thing I did notice was that, for example, if you like duck, when you get duck here, they slice the meat off and it's all on the plate. And if it's like a sliced up fillet, but in China you get all the bone. They leave the bone. They just cut it with the bone. So the first time I got it, I got a bit of duck. Oh, I love it. And it broke my teeth. So you have to bite the meat off. So that's that happened. But I had some goose and and they tend to leave the bone on. So that was a bit of spice. You just have to be a bit careful. It's not an issue out there because they're used to it. But it was something I had to get used to. Anyway, the next day, I'm going to put a picture of food up. Now, first of all, these people fed me. They had a banquet. I mean, we had long. It was like from about 9:30, 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. Had a really good meeting, very productive. And then they said, right, let's go for lunch. And oh god! So they took me for this huge banquet, and they just treated me so well. I really liked them a lot. Anyway, this was the other company I went to. So I'm going to put the food up. Now, the reason I'm putting the food up, because not everywhere has got the shiny office. And, now the company I went to see making the controllers, to make our Slot Zero, they've been supplying me with controller boards. And they were very, very good. And they've done lots over the last 10 or 12 months. I mean, in fact, close to 18 months, as someone pointed out. They've been doing lots of firmware changes. Now, I only bought probably 10, 20 controllers for testing. So they didn't make much money out of it, but they're constantly working on the firmware, making changes. They've been brilliant. So I wanted to go and visit them, boots on the ground, because it was quite complex. And we took them. You've probably seen the pictures of Appy's Slot Zero board with their board stuck on top with the connectors. I wanted to take a working board so they can see that, and then they got all I always say the royal way. Appy did a great document describing how they got to transfer everything on and how it's going to lay it out, and we've sent them over the designs and everything they need to know. So they were fantastic. It was interesting conversations. Obviously, Sarah again. She was doing the translation, and without Sarah, I mean, it would have been fine, because James, the guy who worked there, he speaks reasonably good English. He's also mad about motorbikes like me. His brother's got a few, so we were sharing pictures. But as you can see, then once the business was done and it was all okay, they said, let's go for lunch. Okay, another lunch, and this thing turned up. Now, hopefully you can get a bit of a scale. The guy behind that's one of their their designers, the engineer, and it was quite big. I thought it looked like a whale had landed. Looks like a whale shark, doesn't it? But yeah, so that landed. It was fantastic, and the food that wasn't the only dish. There was about 3 or 4 other dishes, and they also brought out some beer. We had some Budweiser, which they pour into. So you can see it on the top right there. They pour it in little glasses, and you drink a small, which is quite good for business because you don't want to get drunk. However, do you know what? I didn't get his name. It's quite embarrassing, but the owner of the company, who sat next to me, said, "Would you like some white wine?" The food translator. I said, yeah, why not? So we got some what they call white wine, which was like a bottle of sake, or schnapps, or like it was 55% alcohol, and it was really nice. I mean, look, I don't know if I can get across the scale of it. It wasn't a huge bottle. I mean, if you can imagine this kind of thing, but a bit taller. And we just sat there and drank it between us. So I wanted to know, do you just, because sometimes you do shots, right? Because I remember the old Amiga days, B-52s. Anyone out there from the old days? Remember the B-52s? We were in the party. Thomas. And we did, Anyway, so I didn't know whether it was going to be a sip or, But we kind of mixed. I said, well, so I just followed my lead, and he had a little bit, I had a little bit, then he dropped a lot, and I'm like, oh, not that. And we got to the third or fourth one, and he poured mine out, and he ran out, and he had a little tiny bit. Oh, bang. So, yeah, I wasn't drunk, but I did get a bit tipsy, and, you know, I'm not driving, so it doesn't really matter, and I didn't really have a meeting after that, so it was all right. But that was great, and we ended up all hugging, which is nice. It was really good. But I didn't actually mention about the place. So we got the picture of the last company, which are lovely shiny offices, and they were distributors. So, but the place with the controllers, it was like, and now if you can imagine like a big old a backstreet garage that's been there many, many years, right? And you walk in there, and it's we walked in there into the lobby, and the light didn't work, and there was a lift, and we didn't know where we was going. Anyway, they came down and met us, and then we got in the. It was a service elevator. That's all it was, and they're taking stock up and down. So we went up, and it was one of these. There's loads of these buildings out there because it's all about manufacture, and I think they had a second or third floor. Big place. I didn't actually go. All I saw was the offices. So I actually went into the office, and we sat in there, we did our business, and we went for lunch. Another company I went to see making power supplies. It was a bit more modern. They had posh offices obviously they get a lot of foreigners come in and they show them around. But then I went in and saw the production line and what have you. But I really liked the people, the controller people. I thought that place was great, and I got a really good feeling about it. So let's bring it back up. That was really good. Right, what's the next picture? Okay, so after now, I mentioned to Sarah, and I'm going to try and get through this now. I mentioned to Sarah that I always wanted to go to this tech store in Shenzhen. It's a massive building. I'm going to show you the picture in a minute. And it's basically 9 or 10 floors, all tech. And from down the lower floors where it's all the suppliers and you're showing their wares and selling your products, and you could buy any cable or any component you want. It was chips. It was just about, if you're a tech nerd, the greatest place in the world. But it was in Shenzhen City, which obviously the actual Shenzhen City, and what an amazing place. And so this was the building. And the entrance is around. You can't see the cursor, but the entrance is what's there, the bottom middle, and let me just bring it up, and that's the entrance. You can see it's like a number of floors, and Sarah was absolutely wonderful. She knew I wanted to go, and she said, "Well, we've got nothing to do on Friday morning." Because one of the things we had was, one of the reasons for me going here was purely so that I can sort out electronics, which I did, sort out the panels, which I did, but also to test the latest prototype chassis, which I did. But when we tested it, we noticed that the two bezels weren't sitting properly on the panel. So one of the engineers called C. He did the work and he modified it, and he's actually been very, very good with he's helped me improve my design, because his software is light years better than the Fusion 360. So this is not an advert for Fusion 360, trust me. I won't talk about it too much, but I'm pulling my hair out with that software. But so he's been able to do things that I couldn't, and he's improved my the subtle things like how the bezel goes over. Because if you've watched this project, you see it's evolved. And I got it to a point where it's actually pretty good, but he improved on it, which is great. So he did some more tweaks to that, and it was going to take 2 or 3 days to get the 3D prints done. If anyone's interested, they're resin prints, big resin ones. I didn't realise that. I thought it was a SLS with lasers. Oh, hang on, here goes the thing again. Hang on, I'm back. Let me go back again. There you go. It's good for another half hour. So yes, half hour talk so far. It is coming to an end. He did changes, and late Friday night. I mean, it literally arrived about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we finally got them, tested them, and they were great. And I left there about 11 o'clock at night. They got me a cab. Did give her a bit of a dance lesson outside, a bit of rock and roll. So I think next time I go, I'm gonna have to get her arm tension right. Like all beginners, they have floppy arms. But we'll sort that out next time. Yeah, so she basically said we've got time to kill Friday morning, so she took me there in the car, the company car, and then she walked around the place with me for about 2 or 3 hours, translating as we went. I found one company because I'm always looking out for like the bits and pieces, and I found a place that had this HDMI converter, and it's got all the component. I've got to test this before you ask. I haven't tested it yet, but really to see if there's get to inspire me for the extra like bits and pieces, and maybe talking to them to make the boards. Fantastic place, and of course any tech nerd, you've got to have cases. These are fantastic. These are one of those open ones, so it's completely, you can see the board, you can see everything, and obviously the airflow is fantastic on them, so they're really showcases. Saw this case, a brand I've never heard of before, and they literally make these beautiful white motherboards. They do them in black as well, but they do beautiful white motherboards, and they looked amazing. You can see the graphics cards and everything, so I really should get in touch with them, see if they'll make a little board that I can go and plug in, which would be absolutely amazing. And then after that, we went back to HLH, and this is the lobby of their building. Nice picture of Mao. Obviously, he's an important person in their history for a very good reason, whether you agree with them or not. I suppose a comment on that. As I said, everything was very light touch. I expected to turn up in a police state, and I didn't. I turned up in a place that was, to be honest, there wasn't hardly any police around, but it was just really nice. But they obviously have a lot of respect for Mao, sorry, Chairman Mao, but I did see some posters on the walls. Obviously, they were, you might call them propaganda posters, right? But I put a thing up, and it was just saying basically, work hard, support the country, that kind of message, and just positive messages. So, not like some of the rubbish we've had on ours with Brexit. Don't get me started on Brexit. All them lies. But yeah, so this is Sarah. And once we went inside, and then I saw the boxes. Now we're going simple boxes this time. Brown, black pen, but again I've got Paul. He's done all the graphics and the artwork for me, and as always it looks fantastic. People have asked me, and that's the last picture, so just chat now. People have asked me, please can you just make them not as beautiful as the cases, because we don't want to throw them out, and they're enormous. So these ones are I might not want to throw them out anyway. I think most of the customers that are going to buy this are not going to be so bothered about keeping an old box. But you can be sure that the other thing about them, we've had them done locally, a lot cheaper, obviously, than doing it in the UK. But on top of that, they're the same strength, really good quality boxes, lovely printing. But the internals is foam this time. It's not cardboard like I did with the cases before. Obviously, this is a big monitor, and it's not heavy, but it's not exactly light. And we wanted to protect it, so this has got molded foam, and I don't mean that horrible polycarbonate rubbish that we used to have. Probably the wrong word, but not that rubbish. Not like the old Amigas were packed in. This is that kind of soft but strong foam, and it's been molded to fit the monitors. And branded and all kinds of stuff like that. So when you get it, you open it up. This is going to be a really good case, and packaging and nice and strong. Obviously, I'd like it to have been cardboard, but to be honest, I had to kind of weigh up the recyclability of it compared to protecting the product, and so there you go. But yeah, so that's the packaging. Right, so my bottom line is, did I enjoy China? God, yes, lovely place. Can't recommend. I mean, here's the truth, right? I keep looking at a picture. Forgive me, I'm not actually looking in your eye. I hope at some point next year and then later I'm gonna. I don't know if we'll take Appy for the flight, but I would happily. I would rather take my wife and my little boy to China than some other countries I'll mention. I'm not going to mention, right? You probably know what I mean, but where I've been, and had to listen to gunfire. So I'm more likely to take, and that doesn't mean Ukraine. I'm more likely to take my family to China. And the people were wonderful. They treated me really nicely. When they could speak English, they did it all the time, which is a little bit frustrating because I've been trying to practice my Chinese. I don't know how many times I'll say xi xi, or I think my favourite one was well, obviously it's the ni hao ma or ni hao, just saying hello, and then there's hen gao xin ren xin ni, which means nice to meet you. Zai xing ma. See how quick I forget? It's just terrible. But I learned about 10 phrases, and it kind of got me through. But people were very kind, very, very polite. Everyone I met was wonderful. They kept feeding me. Even when I said to one of the companies, just a little bit of dinner, just a little bit, the bloody great banquet came out, and I made her eat it. I'll take it home in a doggy bag. The work ethic. My God, do they work? I got a bit emotional with one of the ladies because she's got a little girl, 3-year-old, and her and her husband have to work. She finishes at 5:30. She's taking me out for dinner, and when I found out that she could have been home with her little girl, I got a bit upset. I can't help it. I won't dig into that one. So I just, finish, right, go home. They just work so hard. They do everything they can to, So my impression of China, whilst I love my country, it's a lovely place. Now, Shenzhen. I went to Shenzhen. I can only comment on that. But I really liked it. And I've been dealing with Chinese companies for a little while now, and on the boots on the ground, I can see why people, like Apple, why they went there. I'm sure a lot of it's to a price. Even for me, it's to a price because people don't want to. We're used to products being made out there. So on the box, one thing, the edition's going on here. It's going to say at the bottom, where you can see now, it's going to say at the bottom, designed in United Kingdom, manufactured in China. So I'm putting that right on the box because I'm proud to go out there and do it. I'd love to have done it in the UK. The metalwork could have been done in the UK, but the logistics wouldn't have made sense to bring plastics over and assemble it. It just wouldn't make sense. But if I hadn't been turned over with the plastics in the UK, then maybe I could have done the whole thing. But you're going to get a fantastic product. That's all I can say. I'm really buzzed about it. My mates telling all my friends about it. Just, yeah, Steve, you like it then? Yeah, dude, I love the place. I can't wait to go back. So there you go, China. Brilliant place. I'm now going to run, because this is going to be a separate video and also part of a stream. So I'm now going to sign out with the outro. Don't have to watch it. It's just me waffling on about. Please buy my products. But anyway, hope this was informative for you. And if you were a backer of the monitors, you wait. Anyway, I'll speak to you later and see you on the chat. The Checkmate 1500 Mini and Plus cases are mostly engineered and manufactured in the UK. They're designed to give a nice retro... Oh. Go away, go on. Yeah. I was looking at the wrong screen. Yeah, that overran. Okay, so I've done that because it's going to be a separate video, possibly. But there you go. Right, there's no real questions going on. As you can see, it was all our work. That was sitting out looking in the street. But it was wonderful. So if you've got any questions, by all means, shove me in the comments, and I'll answer them. Anything you want to know, that's fine. But you know, I'll stress that, you know, I don't know, I've said to Sarah a couple of times, but everyone I met was wonderful. But obviously Sarah, I spent a lot of time. She's a great host. She made sure everything was good. She, you know, drove. Not that I was quite happy getting a taxi. In fact, in the end, I got fed up with her getting me a taxis, and the one for the airport, I just sorted out myself at the hotel. So, no, it was a really good time. I've got a really good feeling about this. The people I'm going to work with. Have I seen it in black yet? No, not yet. No. But just so you know, because I'm technically signed off the plastics, I'm just in the process of moving money around to send over to them for the tooling. The tooling will take about 35-40 days. And once that's done, they will send me 10 samples. They're going to send me 5 white and 5 black. So we're going to have the full chassis built. So then I'll be able to do some pictures of the black. I think the black's going to look pretty stunning. But you know, there you go. Are the LEDs the same on both colours? Yes, they're both red. We're going to have red LEDs. The blue looked terrible, as you know. We're going to possibly tone down the colour, but I've made the whole of the front very small, smaller, so it shouldn't be too bright in your face. But yeah, it's there's gonna one thing we're going to be doing. If you're a backer, I'm assuming a lot of you are backers. We're going to have a poll on the colour of the boards, because up until now, no, it's going to be black. We're going to have black boards. Everything's going to be black. And when I was in China, there was the old guy was saying, black. Yeah, we can't see it. And it's going to be black. I want black. But I was talking to Appy, and he likes blue. And I think green's naff. It's just me. So I'm going to bung this over again to the community, all the backers. Not the, you know. Now this is only for the backers. You have to be a backer. If you're not a backer, you can't vote. But then I'm going to put a vote up, and it's going to be: do you want blue internal circuit boards or black internal circuit boards? And the blue ones will be easier to read if you want to look at the stuff. But to be honest, I think personally, if you want to have my vote, it's still black. But I thought, you know, let's be fair, because it might be that I'm wrong. I'm just going for aesthetics. I work on a basis that the thing's going to be great, and we don't need to look at the displays, the boards. But obviously engineers might want to. They'll probably want to look at it to try and copy it. But yeah, if you're a backer, you're gonna have to vote. I am actually gonna do this, and I will stick by the vote. If you know me, you'll know that when I picked the colour for the chassis, the oyster white is still around, and that was a community vote. So and no, we are not. You can have boards of all colours as long as they're black. It could. I'm expecting. Well, I'm hoping everyone's going to agree with me. There'll just be like maybe 10% of engineers or something that go, "No, make it blue. We can read it then." But I'm going to leave it. I think the blue will look terrible in the white version, the oyster white. I think it looked terrible in there. Whereas black will look fantastic, and inside the black monitor, the black will look amazing. So I'm probably going to do a video along that lines, making my option very clear, but I'm trying to steer the vote. But I thought we'll no, Paul. There's no point Paul doing renders, because I want people to pick black. And so if you don't know what the blue looks like, you're not an engineer. So you know what I mean. Have you actually seen the blue boards? You can see the traces, and it looks beautiful. Yeah, I know. Well, Happy's an engineer, isn't he? So blue is best. Maybe we'll do it like a Brexit vote. We can have Happy on one side saying how cool it is, and I'll be on the other side saying how cool Black is. But of course, I'll have renders and he won't. It will be weighted. But the colour of the boards is pretty pointless. No, it's not, because you can you open the back up and swapping stuff out all the time. So actually, no, it's not, because when you put another board in, you want to look at it. But I know what you mean. But anyway, all right. So come on, let's get some questions. Because otherwise, I'm just going to go down and spend some time with Caroline. Let me just show you this. I bought this for little Alfie. And it's absolutely amazing. I bought it in one of the shops there. And he loves it. But I gave it to I gave it to Caroline to build it, because there's no way I could have built it. It's a tiny little screws, absolute nightmare. So there's no way I was going to touch it. And it took a whole day to build it. So that was good fun. Of course, I also bought my wife something. So. Yes, there's a Chinese influence in it. But I went around the shops and had a good look and see what else I could buy. But that was the best I come up with. But yeah, so back here, I would sit out there, a couple of nights and just relax. And it was really, really nice. And you can see the whole world go by. And I got some interesting videos of craziness going on outside. But no, I really enjoyed it. So. Right, we've got any questions here? Because it don't look like it. I mean, it really doesn't look like there are. Will there be? Hang on. Will there be a module for modern, semi-modern PCs, sleepers, for example? Say 1612 resolution Windows system. Well, it's a 1280 by 1024 display, right? So there's the answer is it's a 1280 by 1024 display. I think the clue's in that. But as I've said before, if you can go online at panel.com, or if you can go and find me a panel that's in productions, there's thousands in stock places that is 1600 by 12. We'll do it as an option. But I actually did look, and they're not as a good IPS, etc., etc., etc. And it's almost impossible to find. They're very hard to find, these panels. So I'm more than happy with what I've got. Are all the boards going to be the same colour? Yes, that's the plan. Yes, the answer is yes. I think that the Node board will be its colour, but even that's kind of black with gold on it. So all white PCB with labels sanded off the chip to stop reverse. I don't care about reverse engineering. This is the thing, right? If some the door's open. Someone opened the door and let the cat out. And of course I didn't know the door was open. Where was I? Sanding off. If someone wants to copy the design, as I always say, give us a call first. To do it, the chassis with all the plastics is really expensive, so it's a massive investment. So if someone's gonna think of doing that, then do you know what? Good luck to them, because they're gonna spend a fortune. But yours going to look fantastic at Kickstart. Must say 19 inch for me. Yeah. Any updates for Markuda? Okay, let's cover that. They are having a fun time trying to find a panel. They're having to now do a new controller, so it looks like we might be possibly having to help them a bit. But the issue is for them is that my panels are 13 millisecond refresh rate, okay, and so we get a latency of about 16 milliseconds. And there are panels out there that you can get that are around 3 to 4 milliseconds, but they tend to be TN panels. IPS needs, because of the way it works, it's not as quick as refreshing the display. I mean, look, 1/60th of a second. Seriously, 1/60th is fast, and I think it's fast enough. But some people chase specs. I mean, some people, yes, may be able to see it, but then again, I don't remember many old games consoles running faster than 60 FPS. So, I think the panel that we're supplying here and the controller is more than good enough. But if we can do, and Arcuda can do a faster one, and I do want to help them to bring it out. It will be expensive. We now know that the panel and the controller is probably going to be around $400 on its own. So it's going to be quite a bit more expensive, but it'll be there for people who want that, the absolute as fast as possible. So, I mean, there's that. But they are still working on it, but it's not as easy as some people think. They had some panels, but whilst I'm not going into details, we've got some new stuff coming, and that's looking promising. Shut up, Happy. But I think that the existing panel is going to be more than good enough for 99% of people, and the ones that it's not good enough for, I think are going to be a mixture of, they've got amazing response eyesight that they can differentiate half of an NTSC frame. So we're trying to do that for them with Arcuda, but I have to work on the basis of the thousands of other people that don't need that, and one NTSC frame, which is 60th of a second, which most of these panels are 60 frames a second. Then I think that's good enough for most people. Are you hoping others will make extra boards for it? Well, theoretically, Ranco from the Mini-Mig in Canada, they're making, well, I've already mentioned this, they're making a Mini-Mig with a 68K socket on it to slot in. And I've already sent the template design, so they've got everything they need now. They've had that a couple of weeks. The plan was to hopefully show it, if they can get the prototype working in time, to show it in October, Amiga 38. So that'll be quite something if we can get it there, because I'll obviously stick a Pi Storm on it and it'll kick ass. It's going to be probably the best Amiga out there. Proper true 68K one. But we'll see about that. There was quite a speed variance between NTSC and PAL. Not really. Well, yeah, okay. I mean, there's 60 FPS versus 50 FPS. But I mean, we do our frames in, like, as I said, if HDMI signal's coming in, we do it in a 60th of a second. So I think most gamers will be quite happy with that. I pity the fool that questions my engineering. Mini-Mig, but I think I'd like that in a Checkmate Mini case. Well, you can always already get that. You can get, he's got the Mini ITX boards. You can go, I don't know if they're actually on sale yet, but he's finished them, so that's always good. 1280 would probably suffice. Yeah, it's fine to me. My current monitor is kind of retro looking. It's 1280, 5:4 aspect ratio, ISO, yeah, but it's terrible. So will the monitor work with Windows PC? Yes. It's a Mac. It works with Windows. Works with Mac. Works with all of them. Amiga All-in-One is almost as good as laptop Amiga. Yes, absolutely. And I think this will be great because it's literally just a plug-in board. Plug in your connectors because it'll be PS2. Keyboard and mouse, so you just plug them in. I suppose one thing I can mention about the keyboard, the company I went to, they can do what I want, but they can't do it with PS2. They don't have the firmware knowledge to do that. So we can do one with USB only. So I'm kind of trying to decide if it's worth doing that, so we've got to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, apart from that, I think the trip was great, and I can't wait to go back. So right, come on, any more questions, because then I'm going to go. because it's getting on. And I've still got a bit of jet lag, I guess. But I've been working hard today. First day, I had a rest yesterday. Spent the day with Alfie. So today's been working. Will your GPS control board utilize Wi-Fi to change settings? Right, yes. So the GPS control automatically has a web server built in, so the answer is yes. But the great thing about it is our one's going to have a jog dial and it's actually going to have the little OLED display. So once you set them all up, you can just go in and choose from the menu system and select the setting that you want, the profiles that you want, or just switch. So it's going to be much better like that than have that. You haven't got to go into the Wi-Fi. But initially, if you want to go anything out of the ordinary, you're going to have to go in and on the website and do it that way, and do profiles and so on. But then you just save them as profiles, and you can with the jog dial on the front, little display, and it'll be pretty cool. Why have you not got a beer? Oh yeah, I know. I had a glass of wine with a curry, so I had a glass of wine, and I have a GBS-C monitor with an OLED jog dial, and it works well. Yeah, it's all gonna be built in, as you've probably hopefully seen pictures. And I've seen the little the injection molded. No, so the final one. We had to tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit stronger because there's not a lot of room, not a lot of meat on it. It's to be very but it looks great on the front. It does look really good, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that. When will we start choose our options to pay more money? Good question. I now know, apart from one thing, I now know where we are with the costs. My job this week and next week is to get the system online, because you're going to need to, you're going to see messages come up on the Kickstarter saying get ready, because I'm going to be started. It's going to be like you're going to have a month to do it, but as sooner you do it, the higher in the queue you are, or the lower in the queue, whichever's the better one, and you'll be faster to get yours. So the sooner you do it, the better. Right, come on. Anything else? Because it's nearly 9, and I need a. I'm yawning on camera. Yeah. So I will be after you for money. Now that I know everything. Also, I've got the shipping. I've just got to final check the shipping. The shipping's going to be a little bit cheaper than my normal shipping cost, but it's not a massive amount cheaper. It's just expensive to ship stuff around the world. There's not much I can do about it, but that's just the way it is. But you are going to get some serious bit of kit. Bear in mind the price is going to shoot up afterwards, so bear that in mind. But the screens are hopelessly unreliable. Well, these should be really reliable because as I said, they're designed for point of sale, so they're on all the time. So they're designed to last a long time. And I've been using these panels for a couple of years, and they've always been worked great, reliable, no issues at all. I can't wait for you to hand over your money. I didn't want it until we got it right. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. I didn't want to take your money until we were ready. Mainly so I got the price right, because it's important to get this stuff right, obviously. Hence and yet, to be honest, you're going to probably see the price and go, oh, we knew that. Well, because most of it, the panel cost, the monitor cost ain't changing. It's the extras where there's going to be adjustments maybe, and you don't know the shipping. So if you're in the UK, Europe, don't even worry about it. If you're in Australia, start selling your kidney. But it's we have got a better price, but it's still not cheap. Are we doing this again anytime soon? Are we doing what again anytime soon? Going to China or doing another stream? Because if you talk about another stream, there'll be one in a couple of weeks, definitely. So I noticed that there was only about 50 people online this time. Usually it's been like 80, 90, so not quite sure why that was. But anyway, hopefully a lot of people will see this. All right, okay. Our stream's always Mondays. Yeah, when I do it, it's on a Monday, but it's usually every 2 weeks. So I usually do it every couple of weeks. I was hoping to get a 3-2 white case and 1 black. Get 3. Okay, the white PC. Okay, okay, and a black one for the ZX Spectrum. Well, okay, cool. Interesting. My missus is so looking forward to me spending more money. The great thing is, the best thing is, up until this project, I mean, I buy the odd bit, but I've never had a good reason. And now it's like, I need to buy new gear. I always say this. I need to buy this machine because I need to make sure it works on the monitor. Sure you do. Anyway, look, I'm going to go. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm trying to find the end stream button. And I will see you probably in 2 weeks. But again, there's probably going to be more coming up in the next couple of weeks if you're back on Kickstarter, because I'm going to be like doing the poll and we telling people to, the poll's going to be an interesting one because it's going to be like me saying how good black is, and I'll put a message at the bottom saying, well, Appy likes blue. So, Paul, if you want to do a render with blackboards, yeah. Actually, no, I don't need to because I've got the blackboards and they look amazing. So anyway, thanks so much, guys, and I will see you soon. Get that button ready. Get ready. Bye.